Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Thank you for stopping by. We're going to talk some makeup today amidst all of the chaos that's going on in the world. I feel like, talking about makeup kind of takes our mind off of that for a little while. So let's go ahead and jump into this review of the Huda Pastels. So if you are familiar with all of the new releases, then you know that Huda Beauty released these pastel palettes, and then even more than that, if you know just the beauty industry in general, you know the controversy that has surrounded these three little palettes, and I won't go too much into it, but here's one thing I am going to say. I love to stay away from drama. I don't like drama, I don't like conflict, and I don't like when people are rude, and I am finding more and more that the beauty community is nothing but. And I'm not trying to lump us all in there because I am not, and I, do my best to treat others with so much kindness. But it's like this is one thing that just even more so opened my eyes to the hypocrisy of the beauty community, and how amazed I am that people who look for products to make themselves so pretty and look so good can be so ugly on the inside. And again, I won't go too much into it, but if you are familiar with the controversy on these palettes, and how they are, everyone's saying that they're copied from ColourPop and all that. As far as campaigns, I don't know much about that. I don't know about, copying and all that. When it comes to products, I do know that brands come out with similar things all the time. Not one brand owns a theme. So if it's going to be a pastel theme or a monochromatic theme, I think Huda started these Obsessions palettes long before ColourPop started their monochromatic. But regardless, it's not about that. It's just about, no one has the trademark, I guess, or, oh, only I can come out with monochromatic palettes, or only I can come out with pastel palettes. Anyways, so that was a whole long spiel, and again, I just don't want any part of the drama. My biggest thing to y'all is be beautiful inside and out, and, to me, it's like, I just walk away from that, There's no need to comment, there's no need to get all wrapped up in that. Be kind. That's all I can say. So I have kind of played around with these. I try to stay away from reviews and things prior to my trying something, even if it hasn't released yet and I haven't purchased yet. I usually stay away, especially if I know I am going to write a review, if I'm going to film a review, because I don't want it to change my opinion. For these, however, I didn't do that. I ended up watching, and there were already kind of some negative reviews coming up about them, and I'm like, gosh, man, too bad. Anyways, I still opted to purchase them because sometimes I find that people hate a product and I end up loving it. So that being said, let's go into this if in fact you are also still interested. Let's look first at the packaging. The boxes are just the regular clear boxes that she's been using the past couple of releases on her Obsessions palettes. The label on the back is correspondent with the color of the palette, so lilac and then mint and rose. So that's what we've got there. So before I take you into the actual palettes, let me give you a quick rundown of what the Sephora website says these are. So it's a palette of highly pigmented mattes, metallics, and shimmer swirls, all with smooth blendable textures in 3 shades, rose, lilac, and mint. Create limitless looks from soft, pretty glam to bold runway styles with these pigment-powered palettes containing a variation of 9 dreamy mattes, high shine metallics, and next generation shimmer swirls. We've seen those shimmer swirl types before. I can't remember if it's in retrograde or if it's in the new nudes. I think it's in new nudes. But we have seen those types of shades in her palettes before. These palettes come in a fun acrylic case with a full-size mirror, making makeup on the go easy. So as far as Rose Obsessions, it's a wearable collection of dreamy ballet pink and blush peach mattes, delicate shimmers and sunshine yellows. The Lilac Obsessions is a seductive series of dusty mauve mattes. Mauve or mauve? I say mauve. I've heard mauve. I don't know. Lavender shimmers, pops of luxurious fizzy violet, a velvety apricot matte, and a pop of soft coral shimmer. And then lastly, Mint Obsessions, an unusual balance of warm and cool tones. This palette indulges your lids in soft mint and apple green mattes, pistachio, teal, and icy aqua shimmers, a touch of honey bronze shimmer, and a rich tan matte. They are $29 each. The website does say that they are limited edition. And for reference, they are made in China, which most of her Obsessions palettes are. I know, you know, whole controversy around that too. Anyways, so that being said, here we go with the packages, or with the packaging. I actually like it. I've heard a lot of people say that it leaves a lot to be desired. I don't know. I kind of like it. I think it's pretty. It reminds me of like a comic book or something. The silver is like, I don't know if metallic's the right word, but kind of. I very much like them. I think the packaging is very pretty, simple, but yet unique, I guess. So let's go ahead and start out with the Lilac. That's what this one looks like. You do get 5 mattes, and let's see, 4 of the I'm going to call them standout shades because it includes the little zebra shade, the swirl shade, and then some very sparkly shades as well. And then as far as the mint, same thing, except you get 4 mattes in here, and then you get 5 more standout shades. Again, you get one of the swirly type of, I'm sorry, you get 2, I forget. You get 2 of the swirly type of shades in here, so that is the mint palette. And as far as the rose palette, you get 5 mattes and 4 of the standout shades, 1 of the swirls. In this one. So let's go ahead and start off with swatches as we usually do. We'll go into the demo. I'm wearing 2 out of the 3 palettes on my eyes today, and then we'll go into final thoughts from there. Here we go. These are the 4 standout shades. So these are the 2 on the top, and then these are the 2 in the middle row, with this being the swirl shade. And let's do one swipe. And I had already heard this. I want to say it was Mel Thompson. Was it Mel Thompson? I think it was. Who had said these were more toppers than anything. And if you remember in prior videos, especially more specifically with the Celestial Storm palette by Dominique Cosmetics, I told y'all I'm really not a fan of just toppers. I like those shades that I can use on their own but still pack a punch. But I can also layer. But these, as you can tell, they are more topper swatching shades. We'll go into if they really are or not down the road, but let me get you the mattes and then we'll keep on going. Here we go with the mattes. This one is the very last one in the palette, which is the deepest shade of the bunch. I know that has been people's gripe, is that really there is not a very deep shade. And I'm sorry, I put a ton of product on my fingers to really make these show up, so they're looking a little clumpy, but that's what the matte, or the mattes look like. Again, keeping in mind it is a pastel palette, so you are to expect that these are going to be more of a wash of color, but you know, you still want pastels that are going to pack a little bit of a punch. So that's what those look like. Again, one swipe, but I really went in hard in swirling them on my finger. So let me grab shades from the mint palette and I'll be right back. Accidentally grabbed the mattes first, but that's okay. So here we go. Again, this one being the deepest matte in the palette. So that's what those look like. Again, I went in a little harder than usual because they are pastels and I'm trying to pick up as much pigmentation for you as possible. So that's what the mattes look like right there. And you've got kind of in the midst of these green or mint shades, you do have that peachy type of shade, which I like. I'm glad there's a little bit of variation, a little bit something different to throw in the mix there. Let me grab the standout shades and I'll be right back. Here we go with the standout shades. This one is the deeper of the 2 swirl shades. And then this is the other swirl shade right there. And that's what those look like. Here is the Rose palette with mattes only. And let's see, this is the deepest of all of the mattes within the palette. Whew, a lot of dust. A lot of dust. So you can tell that that one's coming across deeper, which it is, again, the deepest one in the bunch. But this is the palette that's going to have the lightest of the three, the most skin-toned, I guess you can say. It's a little dusty in here. Here we've got the standout shades of this bunch. So again, 5 mattes, 4 standout shades. The fourth finger right here, that is the swirl shade. And that's what those look like. And hopefully they come across and aren't getting super washed out, because they are very sheer. So you're going to be able to see the metallic aspect of them, but hopefully you can see the tones as well. Alright guys, so we've gone through all of the swatches. Now it's time to go through the demo so that you can see how I did each one of my eyes again. So 2 out of 3. I picked the 2 that seem to be the most popular, that people are the most interested in. We'll go into why here in just a bit. But let's go into that and then we'll come back for my final thoughts. So let's start off with the Lilac palette, and I'm going to go in with the lightest matte shade and just a blending brush. I'm going to go ahead and place this all over the crease. Now I will tell you that these mattes are quite difficult to build up even on my skin tone, and I'm a light to light medium skin tone. I mean, you can tell I've already gone in twice, and that's what it's looking like. It is a very sheer wash of color. Next, going in with that peachy matte shade, and I'm just going to kind of place that over top, not on top, but like to kind of have it peek through, if you know what I mean, and going in with a couple of layers of that as well. Now I'm going to go in with the deeper of the matte shades, another blending brush, and going to place this on the outer portion of the lid. Now, I truly think that these shades, even though this one is the deepest, quote-unquote deepest of the palette, I really don't think they're there for like deepening up or anything like that. Literally is, obviously I'm going in again, just a sheer, not a sheer, but a very light wash of color. You'd have to supplement a deeper shade from another palette for that. Now going in with the purple sparkly, what I call standout shade, and using my finger, I'm just going to go ahead and lay this down on my lid. Now I am using the P. Louise base. I have found that using the Fenty Pro Filter primer is even a little bit better because it's tacky and it almost helps it adhere better. So now going into the lighter sparkly purple shade, lilac shade, and a little detailer brush, I'm going to go ahead and place this on the, I guess like the most inner portion of the lid, just to kind of, you know, add, well, what I thought add some dimension. But anyways, so some of these also, when you pair them side by side, end up looking the same. So you can't really see a differentiation on my lid. Going back to that deeper purple shade, and also going in with a blending brush. I'm going to pack this over top of what I used on my finger, and I have found that using a brush with these shades is actually way better than a finger, which 99.9% of the time is not the case. Going in with the peachy sparkly standout shade, I'm going to place this in my inner corner just to kind of really differentiate there, which obviously it does. Going back in with that peachy shade, and I'm shrugging because there really is nothing more. I mean, I guess I could have gone in with the lilac shade, but really wanting to kind of change it up on the lower lash line. But going in on my lower lash line with that, and obviously, I mean, it doesn't really stand out a whole lot, but going in with the deeper lilac shade, and that's going to go on the outer portion of my lower lash line just to kind of pull it all together. Now let's move on to the Mint Pastels palette. I'm going to go in with the next to lightest matte mint shade, and this one is one that, I mean, even with like 4 layers, it really still doesn't build up to what I would really want. But again, pastel shades, they are a whole lot lighter than your typical shades. So now I totally forgot to show you what shade it was, but basically going over top of that, again, not over top, but just kind of trying to peek through a little bit of a camel type shade, peachy camel type shade in the palette. And next going in with the deeper, or deepest, I should say, of the mint matte shades. And again, placing this on the outer portion of the lid, just in the, you know, typical way of placing the deepest shade on the outer portion. However, again, I really don't think these are meant to kind of deepen up. It's, you know, you can kind of put different ones on your lid, but if you want like a really deepened up look, you have to supplement. Going in with like the key lime type standout shade and my finger as well. I'm going to place this on the lid, but again, remembering that these shades place better with a brush than they do the finger. So that's what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to go in with a brush and I'm going to grab some more of that and now layer it over top of what I just placed on my finger. Truly, you can just go in straight up with a brush, not have to layer with your finger, and you would be better off than doing it with your finger first. And then going in with that middle champagne type shade, placing this in the most inner portion of the lid, the inner corner as well. Oh, excuse me, I had a frog in my throat. Again, you can see that those two shades, there's really not a whole lot of differentiation. Now going into my lower lash line, just kind of adding that peachy camel type shade. Did do a couple of layers of that. And then, of course, lashes and mascara. And here we go. This is the finished look. One mint, one lilac. So you guys, it's time to talk about these bad boys and what I think of them, if they worked out for me and if they are right for you. So the very first thing I'm going to say that comes to my mind is that Huda she's not a fair-skinned lady. So, you know, given her ethnicity, she is a deeper-skinned lady. I don't know, I'd say maybe medium skin tone-ish. I am a lighter skin tone than she. And so as you could tell from the demo, it did take a little bit of building. There's a common complaint about these is that there's not enough deep shades to really deepen a look up. And again, as you could see, it took a little bit of building to where I'd be very surprised if some of these even showed up on her. Anyways, that being said, the reason I used the two that I did is because the Rose palette, I really struggle to get it to show up even on my skin tone. So I am a light to light medium skin tone. When I used to use MAC foundation, in case this helps any of y'all out, I was a NC25, or I'm sorry, scratch that. NC20 is my skin tone in MAC, although I have stopped using MAC for a while now. But yeah, so I have a pretty, I'm not fair, but I'm not medium skin tone either. And I do struggle getting some of these to really show up on my skin tone, which going into the purchase, I already knew that was a very strong possibility because others were having that same issue. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that these mattes are very dusty, and that's typically not a complaint for me. I mean, I know a lot of people will bring that up. It bothers a lot of people. For me, kick up is just a normal thing when it comes to eyeshadow. It's a powder product. You just have to deal with kick up most cases. And I have found that when there is no kick up in a palette, it's usually because it's so stiffly packed in there that I struggle to get good pigmentation. Anyways, that aside, this is the first time I've really ever had so much to where, like, when I breathe it, it smells like I'm breathing dust, which sounds so horrible. I've never had that happen before, but I need to disclose it because it is even something that I noticed. And if I even took note, then I know those of you who notice kick up on a regular basis would really notice it as well. So let's move on to the standout topper shades. They are very beautiful. I very much like how they look on my eyes, but they kind of straddle that line for me of just sheer topper if I go in without something underneath, or without another like shadow underneath, or to the point where they can be used on their own. And it's kind of walking that fine line, and it really leans more on the side of I can get them to work without anything underneath. So I'm happy about that because I would have really been bummed if it would have been one of those things where it's like, I can't get it to show without anything underneath. So anyways, they do look very beautiful once applied. I'm going to be upfront and tell you I have not tried them with Fix Plus. I'm afraid to ruin the pounds of product by doing that, by adding some sort of, by wetting my brush really. But I have seen in reviews that people have done that and said that it does work better. So I'm sorry, I have not tried it, but you know, it is a possibility. Now I will tell you, those of you who know me know that these types of standout shades, I 100% go in with my finger. It's easier because it builds up quicker, it uses less product. This is the first time I have ever found a standout shade to go better on with a brush than my finger. It's crazy. It picks up more product on the brush and goes on a little bit more strongly with a brush than it does my finger. Who knew? But anyways, that's for the standout shades that aren't the swirly shades. So let's get into those. The swirly shades are a very, I feel like I have something in my eye or there's a tear in my contact or something. The swirly shades are more of a creamy type of formula, and if I go in too hard, I create a little bit of a dent in the pan of product. Now I will tell you that when I first went to the store to pick these up, because I knew I didn't want to risk having these shipped. The last time I ordered the Neon Obsessions, they came in completely broken because a lot of the shades are just kind of soft. Anyways, so I knew I wanted to go in store, and plus given the kind of mixed reviews, I knew I wanted to check these out for myself. The crazy thing is something like this shade, this swirly shade that's the deeper of the two in the mint palette. I'm so sorry you guys, there's something in my eye. I think there's, honestly, I think there's a tear in my contact. It swatched actually very, very pigmented to the point where I was even surprised, and I was like, man, I don't understand why these palettes are getting such negative reviews if it comes across this strongly. Well, fast forward to when I started using them and I'm like, it's a little sheer. How come the one at the store was a little bit more rich, especially in this shade? And I just have found that with, this is not the first product. I mean, with a lot of products, when I swatch at the store, I'm like, wow, so blown away. And I think it's just the fact that it's been rubbed so many times. It's been, you know, people have been grabbing it and just, it's made its way down, that it's maybe broken up the formula to where more pigment can come out. I have no idea. That's just my reasoning on that, because I had that same situation with this. So that being said, the swirlies do take a little bit of layering, especially since mine are still pretty new, I guess. I don't know, I haven't worked my way down in the pan of product, but they do take a couple of layers, and in fact to the point where I would prefer the powdery topper shades than the swirly topper shades. They're very different from the previous swirl shades we've seen in her bigger palettes, and I don't know if that's because of the pastel aspect of it or what, but yes, they do, you struggle with those. Let's move on to the rose specifically. So this is the one that I like the least out of the three, and it's something that I had actually already heard. It's definitely not something that I already had, like, you know, it put it in my mind and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like this one less out of the three based on what I've heard. No, I kept a very open mind, and truly and honestly, it's the shades, honestly, that just don't pack a punch. Like the mattes, look at that, there's powder all over this. The mattes especially, they look like my skin. I could literally use it to set, I could use some of these shades just to set like a, you know, an eye primer, which I don't usually do, but literally that's how skin tone they are. Like you really have to get into these little bit of deeper shades in order to get something to come up. And again, I am a light, pretty light skin tone, light to light medium, just depends on the brand. But this is my least favorite. It doesn't really pack a punch. Now, these are pastels, so I don't think the motive was to pack a punch, but there are shades that even though they're neutral, even though they're pastel, even though they're just, you know, nude types of shades, champagne types of shades, they still just pack a punch because of their intensity, because of their sparkle, and these are really not that. Even if it's meant to be like a very feminine, delicate type of look, I would prefer, honestly, like the Kylie Stormy palette over this one, just because that one really shows up a little bit more. It's feminine, it's delicate, but you can really see it on my eyes. This one is a little bit more of a struggle and is my least favorite of the three. So honestly, they're not a dazzled for me. Yes, they are a little bit of a disappointment. I would keep them because those sparkly standout shades, they do look very pretty on me. I like them. Another thing I want to tell you is that even though these two shades in the mint palette look very different, if you put them side by side with each other, they end up looking like the same. So when I did the mint eye, which one is my mint eye? This one. When I did the middle shade to kind of pop, you noticed I used this one. because this one in the pan has more of a green tint, and then to the inner corner to go in with this champagne shade. But I wanted to show you that once you put them both on, there really is not a whole lot of differentiation between a champagne shade and just a lime shade. They both look like the same shade all over. So there really isn't a standout, you know, differentiation between the two. So all in all, I'm conflicted in what to tell you if you've been interested in these, because they are $29 each, which is quite pricey. I've heard people saying they would recommend ColourPop palettes over these. I'd probably agree. ColourPop really is unmatched in their consistency for eyeshadow quality. I will be also upfront in telling you that there's rarely a product by Huda that disappoints me. I am truly a fan of the brand. I really look forward to her releases, and I've really loved all her prior Obsessions palettes. So it's not like, oh my gosh, these are so inconsistent. No, I've loved them all up until this point. This is the first time that I'm kind of like, I'm sad to say that everything I've been reading and hearing is true. The mattes, it's just not there. I mean, the pigmentation, the buildup, even if you built it up 4 to 5 times based on your skin tone, you probably still couldn't get payoff, you know, if you are a medium deep, even to deep skin tones. So the mattes definitely leave something to be desired. They are very dusty and chalky, like to the point where I can smell them if I go in too hard. And then the sparkly standout shades, they are lovely, but they do lean a little bit more topper. If it would have been a mix between topper and like intense metallic, that would have been great, but it's just not. So I think it depends on whether you are a fan of one of these kind of color schemes, a lilac or mint especially. Like I said, the rose is going to be hard to show up, but anyways, if you are a fan of one of these types of color schemes, you may want to check it out. If you are into the more very, very faint, delicate type of look, just a very, very sheer, almost nothing there, you may want to check them out. But truly and honestly, there's been better Obsessions palettes in the past, I'm sad to say. So these are a true disappointment for me today. Okay, my friends, before I let you go, I just want to leave you with a very quick positive and encouraging word of the day, just a quick verse of the day. Before I go into that, just real quick, the world is crazy right now. We are all feeling it. We're all kind of stressed out. We're all in a little bit of fear, I guess. But the one thing that I have that is a true treasure, that, you know, in the midst of whatever storm comes along, whatever happens to the world, whatever chaos it's in, the one thing I have to give you and tell you is that I serve a living hope, and his name is Jesus. And no matter what happens, the world could crumble today, but I still have him. And that makes all the difference. I can talk about makeup, and yes, I love it, and it just really does kind of wrap me in this little bubble, and it takes my mind off of things and stuff like that. But overall, most of all, Jesus is the most important thing, and it is my encouragement to you that if you don't already know him, that if you are in a feeling of panic or distress or anxiety or fear because of what's going on, because I really do feel in my heart this is not all that's coming. I don't think, you know, our generation has lived a very cushy life, especially, you know, I mean, we haven't gone through things that prior generations have. And, you know, I am just here to tell you that these things come up. Our whole life isn't going to be lived in a cushy, you know, life to where nothing like this happens. These things are going to happen. But ultimately, at the end of the day, God is in control, and the most important thing to have amongst all of this is Jesus. So I love you. I want to impart that to you, and it is my hope that you come to know him as your personal Lord and Savior. The second thing I wanted to tell you is that right now, with all of these stores being ransacked, our grocery stores like bare bones, Walmarts are bare bones, you know, everybody's trying to get toilet paper and cleaning supplies and food and everything, and I get that. That's, you know, we want to kind of stock up, but it is also my prayer and my request, my encouragement to you, that you would also be mindful of those that are older than you. So right now, with everything that's going on, if you are young, I will tell you, I'm 36 years old. My immune system is stronger than somebody that's 70 or 80 years old. So I want to ensure that I am being mindful, and that I am also allowing people of an that category, of that age category that is more of a target for this virus, to be able to get their hands on things that they need. Because if I get it, my immune system, God willing, could fight it off better than somebody of that age category. So it's my prayer and my hope that as we go to the stores, we're being mindful of those who are older in that age category that may need these things more than we do. So it's all about being selfless and being kind to others. Yes, you need to stock up and get things for yourself, but we need not hoard it all so that other people who desperately need it can't get it. So that being said, real quick verse of the day, you guys. I'm not trying to lecture you. I'm just trying to encourage you in a very selfish world. I just want to encourage you to be kind and selfless. So today's comes from Psalm 19:1, and it says, "The heavens proclaim the glory of God. The skies display his craftsmanship. He is amazing, even in tough times," you guys. I love each and every one of you. I hope you have enjoyed this video, found it helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.